Imagine this. You're scrolling through listings for a place to stay in Singapore. Maybe you've just started a new job in the CBD. Maybe you're here on a 6-month contract. Maybe you're just tired of flatmates and tiny rooms with walls so thin you can hear your neighbor's alarm before your own. You keep seeing the same pattern. Anything near town is either too small or too expensive. Tiny studios for the price of a car installment. Co-living spaces that are basically hostels with better branding. And then, there it is, a 1-bedroom condo, proper separate bedroom, decent living room, full kitchen, good location, walking distance to an MRT, older development, but facilities look okay. Pool, gym, security. The photos look surprisingly nice, bright, clean, neutral, not luxury, but comfortable. The price, lower than everything else in the area. Not ridiculously cheap, just noticeably less. You click into the listing. The description is professional. The owner sounds reasonable, and yet something feels slightly off. You can't put your finger on it. The photos all feel a bit too generic. Every cushion perfectly placed. 0 personal items. Every shot taken from the same cautious angles. And when you scroll down to the reviews, there are hardly any. 1 short comment from 2 years ago. Nice unit. Convenient location. And then, nothing. No recent reviews. No details. No tenant complaints, but also no tenant praise. Just silence. You tell yourself, maybe it's just under-rented. Older condo, what? People like newer places now. You message the agent. They reply quickly. Viewing is easy to arrange. The price is good. The commute will be easy. You sign. You move in. And from the very first night, the condo feels wrong. Not dangerous. Not obviously haunted. Just wrong in a way that sits under your skin. Like you've stepped into a room that remembers something you don't. This is the story of the unit nobody rents. And the one person who stayed long enough to find out why. In a dense city like Singapore, people don't talk a lot about what has happened inside the walls around them. Most of us don't know who lived in our flats 10 years ago. We don't know who cried in the bedroom we sleep in now. We don't know what arguments happened in the kitchen, what secrets were whispered on the balcony, what final breaths were taken in the dark at 3 a.m. But the property market does have a term for it. In some countries, they call them stigmatized properties. Units where something happened. A suicide, a sudden death, a violent crime, a scandal so big it made the news, and then disappeared. On paper, the unit is fine, structurally sound. No water leakage, no structural cracks. Legally, it's safe to rent. Emotionally, spiritually, whatever word you want to use, is different. In Singapore, there's no official haunted tag on a listing. Instead, the history shows up in other ways. An asking price much lower than similar units. An owner unusually eager to close the deal. A security guard who looks at your unit number, hesitates, then just says, "You staying there, huh?" And nothing more. And sometimes it shows up in the strangest sign of all. The unit is always available, but almost no one ever stays long. For Jia Min, the unit was a blessing. She was 31, a UX designer who just landed a better paying job near Raffles Place. After years of rental rooms and sleeping behind curtains, she wanted her own space. Her budget was tight. Her standards were high. Her patience was running out. When she saw the listing, she thought it was a scam. 1 bedroom, city fringe, under market rate. Must be too good to be true. Her friend texted. The viewing was on a weekday evening. The condo was one of those older developments from the early 2000s. Slightly dated lobby, a bit of faded marble, but still respectable. The security guard glanced at the unit number, then at Jia Min, but said nothing. The agent was cheerful, a little too fast talking. When he opened the door, the first thing Jia Min noticed was how empty the place felt. Not physically. There was furniture, a sofa, a TV console, a dining table, a bed, but the air felt thin, flat, like a hotel room that had just been opened after months of being sealed. No smell of cooking, no lingering perfume, no dust either, which meant someone had cleaned, recently and thoroughly. The walls were freshly painted white. The wardrobe was almost new. Even the mattress still had that springy, unused feel. "It's been vacant for a while?" Jia Min asked casually. The agent's smile didn't move. "Owner lives overseas, not actively renting the last few years. Only started again recently. You're lucky, actually. Many people inquire, but timing always not right." She walked through the unit. The kitchen was practical. The bathroom was small but clean. The bedroom had a big window with a view of another block. Everything looked fine. Still, she felt something else, a subtle resistance, like the room didn't want her there, but also didn't really care. A kind of numbness. She ignored it. In a city where rent can swallow half your salary, bad vibes are a luxury not everyone can afford to respect. She signed a 1-year lease. The first few days were normal. New job, new routines, new commute. She bought a plant for the window, put her books on the shelf, hung up a string of fairy lights. She tried to make the space her own. At night, the unit was quiet, too quiet. No distant TV from neighbors, no footsteps upstairs, just a faint hum of the aircon and the occasional car from the expressway far away. On the fourth night, she woke at 1:30 a.m. for no reason. The room was dark, still, and she realized something was off. It took her a few seconds to figure out what it was. The light from the corridor. She always slept with her bedroom door slightly open, enough that the soft glow from the living room and the tiny blue light of the router would leak in. Tonight, it was pitch dark. The router was off. The living room, it seemed, was completely black. She lay there, alert. Then she heard it, a soft sound, not from upstairs, not from outside, from her living room. Like someone quietly dragging their bare feet across the tiles, a slow, deliberate shuffle. Left, right, left. She held her breath, every muscle taut. Her first thought was practical. Someone broke in. How? The gate was locked. Main door also. She wanted to reach for her phone, but it was charging on the dresser, just out of reach. The sound continued. Not closer. Not further, just pacing, back and forth. Then, after maybe 30 seconds, it stopped. Total silence. Jia Min lay there for 10 minutes, counting her breaths. Finally, she forced herself to move. She switched on her bedside lamp, opened the door. The living room was empty. The router light was on again, blinking softly. Nothing was out of place. The main door was locked. The gate was secure. She checked the time. 1:43 a.m. She laughed once. Too high, too tense. New place nerves, she told herself. Back in bed, the quiet felt heavier. After that night, it became harder to tell what was normal and what wasn't. Her phone would sometimes be on the lock screen camera when she picked it up, as if someone had been trying to open it and double tap the button. The bathroom light would flick off for a second when she showered, then blink back on. The kettle would be warm in the morning. even though she was sure she hadn't boiled water since the previous evening. Little things, always just small enough to explain away, but the feeling built up, layer by layer, a presence that wasn't exactly threatening, but wasn't neutral either, like a gaze at the back of her neck whenever she sat at the dining table to work, like someone watching from the hallway when she brushed her teeth. She started leaving the TV on for background noise. She used white noise apps to fall asleep. She told herself it was city stress. Then the dream started. The first dream was simple. She was lying in her own bed, in the condo, in the exact position she always slept. Everything was the same. The dull orange glow from the building opposite, the faint buzzing from the aircon, the outline of the wardrobe. Except she couldn't move, sleep paralysis. She could feel her body on the mattress, but her limbs wouldn't respond. Her tongue felt heavy. Her lungs worked too slowly. In the dream, she stared at the bedroom doorway. The door was open a little wider than usual. Through the gap, she could see the living room. Someone was standing there, a man, just outside the bedroom, half hidden by the doorframe. She couldn't see his face, only his outline. Short-sleeved t-shirt, shorts, bare feet. His posture was strangely stiff, as if he didn't quite know how to stand like a normal person. In his right hand, he held a phone, pointed directly at her, recording. He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched. The sound in the dream was wrong too. Too quiet, like the world had been put under a blanket. Jia Min tried to scream, but in the dream, no sound came out, only a dry, choking noise. The man's arm didn't tremble. The phone stayed fixed on her, like a camera on a tripod. Then, slowly, his head tilted, not towards the bed, but towards her, towards where her awareness was, as if he knew she saw him, as if he could see her seeing. She woke up with her heart pounding so hard it hurt. The room was empty, the door slightly open, the living room dark. Her phone was on the bedside table, screen black, camera app closed. She told herself it was just a nightmare. Just one, but it wasn't. Over the next month, the dreams repeated with small variations. Sometimes the man was closer, sometimes further. Sometimes she couldn't see his hands, only knew he was holding something. Always watching, always silent. She stopped sleeping well. Her work suffered. Her friends noticed she was jumpier, more distracted. When they asked if everything was okay, she just said, "New job stress, that's all." She considered moving out, but the thought of breaking the lease, losing her deposit, starting the search again, it all felt overwhelming. Then, one afternoon, a random conversation cracked everything open. She was in the lift with an older auntie from the same floor, both juggling groceries. The auntie squinted at her. "You new tenant, huh?" she asked. "Yeah, moved in last month." "Which unit?" When Jia Min told her, the auntie's expression shifted. Barely, but enough. "Oh, that one," she said. There was a tiny pause before the next sentence. "Last time got man stay there. Alone. A bit, not right one." "What do you mean?" Jia Min asked. The door slid open. The auntie wheeled her grocery trolley out. "Never mind, La. Old story. You don't think so much. Just, if cannot sleep, go downstairs, walk a bit. Don't stay inside too long." It was a casual sentence, but it lodged in Jia Min's mind like a splinter. That night, instead of watching Netflix, she did what so many of us do when something doesn't sit right. She Googled her condo name, her block number, the word death, the word case, the word police. At first, nothing. old launch articles, property reviews, forum threads about whether the maintenance fees were worth it. Then, on page 3 of the search results, she found it. A brief local news article from almost 4 years earlier. The headline didn't mention her unit number. It just said, "Man found dead in condominium unit after neighbors report foul smell." The article was clinical. A man in his 40s, living alone. No sign of forced entry. No criminal element suspected. Death believed to be self-inflicted. Neighbors had complained of a smell. Security footage showed him returning home alone one evening. No one else seen entering or leaving the unit before he was found. There was a single photo of the corridor, blurred doors, a stretch of beige tiles, a fire hose cabinet. Jia Min stared at the image. She recognized the exact layout, the position of the emergency exit sign, even the dent on the wall near the corner. It was her floor, her block, her corridor. She checked the date, 3.5 years ago. She checked the floor number mentioned. It matched hers. Her stomach sank. She zoomed into the photo, pixelating it until it was a muss of colors. Still, she felt sure. The door in the photo, it was her door. Sleep became almost impossible after that. It wasn't just the dreams now. It was the knowledge. She replayed the article in her mind, over and over. A man, living alone, walking into the unit one evening. No one else going in. No one else leaving. How long did he lie there before anyone noticed? What had he been doing before? Scrolling his phone, watching something on his laptop, watching someone? She kept thinking about the way he'd been described, a bit not right one. What did that mean? Strange behavior, odd hours, too many delivery packages, too many visitors who never used the front gate. She remembered her dreams, the man in the doorway, the phone in his hand, the feeling of being filmed. She started noticing tiny details around the condo she had never really looked at too closely. A hole in the ceiling of the living room that had been patched and painted over, almost invisible unless the light hit it at the right angle. A slightly lighter rectangle of paint on the bedroom wall, a place where something had once hung. A pair of unused screw anchors above the bathroom mirror. Places where cameras could have been. Places where cameras might have been removed. Places the unit itself might still remember. When she finally confronted the agent, his first reaction was defensiveness. "It's in the past already," he said. "Unit renovated, cleaned, blessed. Many people want to rent, you know. You got good price." "You didn't tell me someone died there," Jia Min said. Silence. Then, "Legally, we don't have to, unless you ask. If we say, then nobody will rent, right? But you see, you're staying, you're okay." She wasn't okay. Not with the dreams, not with the sounds, not with the knowledge that she was sleeping in the same bedroom, under the same ceiling, where a man had died alone, and possibly recorded others before that. She asked finally, "Was there anything else? Cameras? Complaints? Police investigation?" The agent's voice dropped. "Off record. There were rumors. Some tenants before said they saw holes, like camera holes. But police came, took whatever they needed. Case closed. Now, nothing. If you keep thinking, of course you will feel scared. Have other people stayed since then? A few short-term. Some left early. Personal reasons. You know la, people nowadays." He said it so casually. Personal reasons. Anxiety. Nightmares. A door you can't walk through at night without feeling like you're being watched by someone who isn't there anymore. if they were ever only someone at all. In the end, the decision cost her money, but gave her back everything else: sleep, appetite, the ability to walk from bedroom to bathroom at night without that tight, crawling feeling along her spine. She broke the lease. The landlord kept her deposit. The agent moved on to new listings. The condo unit went back on the market a few months later with slightly lower rent, new photos, rearranged furniture, fresh coat of paint. The listing looked almost identical. Bright and airy one-bedroom unit, quiet-facing, ideal for professionals, immediate move-in. And once again, over the months that followed, hardly any reviews appeared. A few people moved in, a few people moved out. Quickly, the unit remained, always available sooner than it should be. On paper, it was just another address. In reality, among residents, it slowly became something else. That unit, people would say in the lift, the one nobody stays long in. The unit nobody rents. So what do we do with stories like this? Is Jia Min's experience proof of a haunting, or testimony of something more psychological? Psychologists will say that once you know the history of a place, your brain does the rest. You become hyper-aware of every sound, every shadow, every glitch in the light. Your mind fills in the gaps. Dreams latch onto real-world details. Anxious thoughts manifest as sleep paralysis, footsteps, figures in doorways. Spiritual practitioners will say something different, that sudden, lonely deaths can anchor a soul, that secret violations, like hidden recordings, stalking, voyeurism, leave a stain you cannot paint over, that a place can become saturated with unprocessed fear, shame, desperation, not just from the person who died, but from everyone they hurt. They'll tell you some units need more than new furniture. They need cleansing, prayers, time. Maybe they're both right. Maybe some units are truly haunted in ways we don't have words or instruments to measure. Maybe others are haunted only by our knowledge of what happened there. Maybe there's no real difference in terms of how it feels at 3 a.m. when you're lying in bed, heart pounding, certain that something is standing just outside your bedroom door, because your nervous system doesn't care whether the footsteps are real or in your head. It only knows that something feels wrong, and sometimes that's enough reason to leave. So what do you think? Can a unit absorb the energy of what happened inside it until future tenants feel it without knowing why? Can crime and loneliness cling to walls the way smoke clings to curtains? Or is it all memory and suggestion, stories we tell ourselves, shaping how we experience perfectly normal rooms? Would you live in the unit nobody rents if the price was right? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're ever hunting for a place and something about a unit feels off, even if the photos are perfect, even if the price is tempting, even if the agent says, "Aya, don't think so much," maybe listen to that feeling, because some discounts aren't just about the market. Sometimes they're about the history that doesn't appear in the listing description. If you like this story, subscribe for more true and true-inspired ghost stories from across Asia. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.